Kalau semua ready, saya rasa kalau okey, kita akan go live lah.
Boleh.
Ya. Okey je. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okey. Okey, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon. I'm Ainul Wahid. As the host this afternoon, I would like to thank everyone for being able to be together for this Elite at UM program. So it's good that I started this program with some background on what Elite at UM is. Elite at UM is actually stand for experiential learning with industries and technocrats at UM. Elite at UM is one of the initiative under UM Strategic Plans 2021 to 2025. So the objective of Elite at UM is to provide opportunities for experts, industry practitioners, and notable stakeholders in the industries and relevant fields to share their knowledge and experiences with UM students. So for that, today, we bring an industry practitioner who is a respected digital forensic expert, Mr. Zabri Adil from Digital Forensic Research Society. He is actually the Deputy President of Operation for the society, and he is also the head of the Digital Forensic Department at Cyber Security Malaysia. So let me introduce Mr. Zabri. Mr. Zabri plays a significant role in ensuring the competent and efficient overall strategic and operations of Cybersecurity Malaysia, digital forensic services, and cyber defense research. So as the head of Cybersecurity Malaysia Digital Forensic Services, he has vast experience in handling computer crimes, computer-related crimes, forensic examination for various law enforcement agencies in Malaysia. This is also includes handling e-discovery for civil claims. So Mr. Zabri has completed the Digital Evidence Case Investigation Circle by testifying in Malaysia Intellectual Property Court, Magistrate Court, Session Court, High Court, and also Royal Commission of Inquiry. This includes many high-profile cases. Okay, so we hear and watch a lot about forensics, like in the CSI TV series. So we see how investigators conduct an investigation. They arrive at the scene, they make a boundary with a yellow tape is necessary. They start searching and looking for any relevant material as evidence. They take relevant photos and then put it in a special bag before being taken to the lab for investigation. So based on that scenario, I have two questions for you, Mr. Zabri. So the first one, is there a particular branch of knowledge or skills for work like that? And the second question is that, um, is what done in the real world investigation is the same as in the digital world? I mean the digital investigation. So I will pass the session to you, Mr. Zabri, to continue with that two questions. Hopefully, we can get the answer to those questions during the session. So, Mr. Zabri, the stage is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Ainuddin, my good friend from Faculty of Computer in UM. It's been an honor, pleasure to be a part of this session to represent Digital Forensics Research Society and to contribute and share my knowledge and my experience all this while with you guys. Okay, I have two big questions to be answered to answer. Yeah, I try my best. Okay, related to the first answer, is there any specific field of work related to the investigation of crime? Yes, 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 there is, which is the forensics. Forensics. So when we talk about forensics, there are so many forensic fields all over cross out all knowledge field. It depends on how we apply it. Yeah, and the job is real. The job is real, and it's very significant to us nowadays. And I've prepared a slide presentation, so it
Okay.
is here for me
That's good.
to explain more about this digital forensic investigation. But of course, it is not the same like what we saw in the TV series, CSI Las Vegas, because that one is fiction. I would say fiction. I
Okay.
think in the beginning, I always against that kind of TV shows until recently.
Mm-hmm.
We've been collaborating with Finas to
Okay.
to come up with our own TV series. Not TV series, but it's more like tele movie, and then
Okay.
to digital forensics, cybersecurity, digital forensic services. So the main
Mm,
character is, the hero is Zul Husaini. Yeah.
I see.
So Encik Zul Husaini is the hero of that TV series, and he tried to portray that forensic is a normal guy. We have
Okay.
our we have our own issues,
Uh-huh.
and then try to at the same time try to do national service and contributing our knowledge to the country.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not easy to deliver that storyline in 90 minutes, because
Ah.
super telemovie is 90 minutes, but it's more difficult for TV series like 40 minutes. So that's why TV series is not real. It's fictional. Yeah.
So what is your role for that TV series? Do you play
Uh,
any
my,
role or?
my role is the technical advisor in
Uh-huh.
terms of the technicality aspect in the TV series, in the telemovie.
Okay.
So we design the technical storyline.
Okay.
Yeah, but of course, Malaysian being Malaysian, yeah, Malaysian drama. So the dramatic element
Should be
must
there.
be there.
Should be there, right?
It cannot be avoided because the scriptwriter always want that kind of approach.
Okay, we will wait
So,
for the TV series
uh,
then.
yeah, this is the real one. The real one.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay. Uh, So we're going to talk about these five topics within this, I think, within these 40 minutes, and then we'll proceed with the Q&A. Yeah. So, like you said, okay, there is a branch of knowledge which is known as forensic science. So, what is forensic science? Okay, it's basically the application of scientific knowledge to the legal system. Some say like it's a marriage between the technical and the legal. So, uh, because scientific methods is acceptable, it is fact. So, it's how we apply the knowledge into the legal system, which means into our investigation on how we preserve the evidence, so how we do the handle the chain of custody in term of it. So scientific knowledge is varies with a lot knowledge, a lot of branch of knowledge, and digital is one of it. So that's why we always hear about the term forensic term for pathology forensics, digital forensics, accounting forensics, DNA forensics, document forensics. There's so many terms, but the the definition is same, because it's application of scientific knowledge to the legal system. And then other than that, hand gross. This is actually definition from the NIJ. National Institute of Justice in 1998. And then Hans Gross, basically, back in the old days, also described there is a need for a specifically trained investigator so that they can breach the technical aspect of the investigation and also serve as the liaison in terms of the legal aspect of it, which means that you are the investigator and then you are bridging the scientists or the technical specialists with the prosecutors or deputy or public prosecutors so that the conducted investigation is actually fulfilling both requirements and also can be used in court. And in forensic science, okay, there is one principle, exchange known as exchange principle, which is very popular. Yeah,
Mhm.
it says that if a substance contact with another substance, there will be a change of both of substance, which means that a change,
Mhm.
which means that they will exchange contact and then it will leave trace. So the term every contact leaves a trace coming from this exchange theory. So this thing also applied in digital technology, in the digital science, computer science, whereby whenever we click a file, we try to open it, so the timestamp will be updated. So the process will be running, which means that there will be traces in the computer system.
Mhm.
And forensic science principle will rely on the principle of individuality. Yeah, whereby the principle of individuality implies that every entity, whether it's person or or an object, it can only be identical to itself and so is unique, which means that no two objects, natural or artificial, can be exactly the same. So this is one of the very important principality, so that it is unique and can be used as the biometric of in digital world. Yeah. So
I see.
biometric mean human, biology human,
Okay.
but it's kind of calculation to make it unique or uh, uh, identical to itself. For example, in computer forensic on in digital forensics, we always use hash value
Okay.
calculation. So hash value is similar to that. Yeah, it's like a fingerprint of a digital file.
I see. So am I right to say that we also have pretty much like the DNA sequencing code in the real world for for identity or entity? We
Mm.
also have the kind of DNA sequencing code as well for entity in digital domain as well,
Yes, yes,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like DNA profile. For
Okay.
example, if we do investigation of a virus
Hmm.
of in a malware related investigation, so in order to identify its signature, so most of the security researcher will upload it into the virus total database, and then it will have its own hash value. So
Hmm.
if we take this hash value and conduct hash value comparison with all the files that in our hard drive, and
Hmm.
if there is a match, which means that the same virus, the same malware exists in our computer system. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So let's take a look. Okay, this is where the importance of scientific mindset. Yeah. So in order to think like a scientist, yeah, we need to understand a little bit about its principle. Yeah. And like I told before, being in digital forensic, it involves legal system, something related to law, to
Mhm.
prove. I mean, to maintain its evidential credibility. So let's take a look the definition of criminal procedure, which is basically the main purpose is to investigate the realities of criminal attribution. So, which means that in order, whatever evidence that we prove to the court, it must be something reliable, which is attributes to criminal activities itself, and then it must be something logical, yeah, something factual. So if the accused, if the accused able to question, or able to argue and challenge the evidence introduced by the prosecution team, and then uh, it is actually the defendant's right in a fair trial, in a normal fair trial in our judicial system.
Mhm. Okay.
So if the evidence is unreliable, and then it cannot be accepted by the court. So this is the principle, or the principle of the criminal procedure in all over the world.
What usually, sorry, Mr. Zabi, can I interrupt you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What usually the reason of we consider that evidence as unreliable? Is it due sometime maybe in term of, I think you did mention early in the session about the chain of custody,
Yeah.
kind of, is it the main issue, or we also have another issue?
Okay. Okay. In a normal
Mhm.
prosecution, the terms unreliable usually referring to the hearsay, which means that it is not coming from the source of the person who witnessed the event.
I
Yeah.
see. Okay.
It has to be that witness has to witness it with his own eyes, or
Mhm.
heard it through his own ears, and touch it with their own hand, something like that. But that's in a
Okay.
normal case. But as for in the digital world,
Mhm.
the testimony has to be coming from the maker of the document. Uh, so which means that if I'm the one who print something, or create a document, or create
Mhm.
a digital files,
Mhm.
so it has to be me, to has to be that person to appear in court before the judge to testify.
Okay.
As for digital forensics, yeah, since the technology is solid, it cannot be challenged. It's usually difficult to challenge. So the only uh, opportunity for the defense counsel to
Mhm.
challenge and attack is through the procedure.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
It's good to know.
that's why it is very important to follow the standard operating procedures,
Mhm.
especially when you're conducting investigation. This is where some people, don't like it because it involves a lot of documentations. But
Oh, okay.
this documentation is something that will save you uh, from making mistakes, from any problem in the later days. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Noted.
So this is why in a criminal, why digital forensic is important, because the usage of scientific techniques will increase the effectiveness of the evidence, so it will add
Mhm.
credibility and weightage to the evidence. So the defense counsel cannot challenge on that, because they already knew, it's already been verified. The technique, the methods already been
Mhm.
reviewed by the peers in the academics or the research community. So no need for you to argue anymore. So it is easier
Okay.
and effective for the court, because for the court to comment,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it will require times and money, and there are a lot of people involved. So with the scientific evidence,
Mm-hmm.
so it will avoid the session from being dragged into days and days continue. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Noted then.
this scientific findings, scientific
Mm-hmm.
result is will come up with the successful conclusion, which means that everybody will agree to agree. Ha. Agree to agree, because they will accept the findings. Yeah. So as for in Malaysia, our law recognize the forensic science in Malaysia in Evidence Act 1950, Section 45. It's stated there the opinions of experts. When the court has to form an opinion upon a point of science, which means they recognize these people as
Mm-hmm.
experts. So
Okay.
it also cover foreign laws, science or art. So
Mm-hmm.
as long
Okay.
as these people is competent, and then it will be recognized as expert. So
Okay.
that's on the fundamental of forensic science, and a little bit about the criminal procedure and the court in recognition in court of law in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go deeper. Yeah,
Okay.
how we can use these scientific methods to research crime. So in academic research community, scientific methods begins with
Mm-hmm.
this process. We come up with the research question, and then we come up with hypothesis, and then we do observation and experiment, and then we try or challenge the hypothesis with the empirical findings, empirical data that we have from our data collection or analysis. So and then we repeat it again and again, so that we can support those hypotheses, and uh, and come up with the final findings. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah, basically we need to produce empirical data to support the hypothesis, or to refute that hypothesis itself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like in academic, when we start with our research, we need to define all the problems and so on, and then finally we have a thesis as an output, and in your case, you have your report as the output.
Yes, correct, correct.
Okay.
That
Okay.
is actually uh, the best way and how
Mm-hmm.
we should solve our problem.
Okay.
So if you have problems you cannot solve, okay, you should do this process. Okay, we need to define the problem, we form the hypothesis, and then we do observation, we collect data, we experiment, and then we analyze those experiments result, interpret data,
Mm-hmm.
and then we generate conclusion.
Okay.
So if it is supported, and then you want to make it more conclusive, we can
Mm-hmm.
collect another data to support our previous finding. If it is not supported, and then we need to come up with another different hypothesis and test that hypothesis. So this is should be how we live our life, actually. And I tell you, doctor, if we practice this in our life,
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Okay.
the probability for human to make mistake is very slim, very small, because
Okay.
everything is properly thought process have been done in making that decision.
Mm.
Yeah?
Okay.
So this is scientific. So
Noted.
why it is important? yeah, scientific important. So basically is to minimize the influence of bias or
Mhm.
prejudice. So because everybody, live in a or uh, exposed to its own environment, its own
Mhm.
culture, its own way of parenting, or
Mhm.
its own school. So everyone will have bias because it will in order for them to make a decision, so it will
Mhm.
compare with it or with their experience, with their
Mm.
upbringing and coming from their origination. So
Okay.
in order to avoid we make a biased decision, especially in matters related to criminal, or someone is about to be prison, or someone about to be hanged to death. So it is very important to make a good decision, and then try to avoid bias at any cost. So that's why
Mhm.
scientific method is very important.
Okay.
So, what we are trying to promote these days is that we use the scientific methods to research crime. What I'm trying to say is that for the investigation officer, when they
Mhm.
conducting the investigation, they have this scientific method mindset when they are investigating
Mhm.
the the matters. Yeah, and what we are trying to do in Ministry of Communication and Multimedia Malaysia is we want public also to have this knowledge,
Mm.
so that
Okay.
they will not accept news or whatever input from social media directly. So whatever that you got from internet, you need to
Mhm.
verify, you need to test. It's just a theory. It's just an opinion of someone. It's
Mm.
just a wild hypothesis. So you need to verify. You need to challenge that news or that information that you receive from Facebook, from
Mhm.
Instagram, from Twitter, and WhatsApp, and all that. So
So yeah, so I just want to share that I think I heard yesterday they also call them as they call them now Jabatan Netizen Negara.
yeah,
uh,
actually, Jabatan
okay.
Netizen Negara is a crucial component of
Uh-huh.
community or society
Oh,
in
okay.
in 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 the whole ecosystem. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
there are some things that are not uh, can be covered through the law. For
Mm-hmm.
example, cyberbully. There is
Ah,
it
okay.
is difficult to define whether cyberbully is actually a criminal act
Mm-hmm.
or not. Yeah, so
Ah.
that's why that's why it is important for us to have the cyber ethics. So cyber
Mm-hmm.
ethics, we need to establish our moral value, especially especially how do we behave in the internet. It's like
Mm-hmm.
how we behave in public area in Malaysia. Like in
Mm-hmm.
Malaysia, you just cannot, simply kissing around, But how in the Western countries, if you kiss around or you wearing shorts or bikinis in the beach, it's something common to them. But in Malaysia, no. So same thing should be same thing will be happening in the Malaysian cyberspace.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where the netizen is uh, very important, and then we are right now trying to build our own, I would say, culture. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that they call tentera bawang. Uh, but we are finding our own identity, Malaysian identities, I would say. So it is
Okay.
important to establish this scientific method to them too. It's like a
Mm.
normal public, you have understanding about forensic too. whereby
Okay.
forensic not only can prove that uh, can prove a criminal element of something happened, but it
Mm-hmm.
also can disprove. It can also can help you
Mm-hmm.
uh, to prove something that you are not the one who do that.
Okay.
Exculpatory and inculpatory element of it.
It
So
might be, sorry to interrupt. So
yeah,
it might be because of, for most of us nowadays, we have two worlds actually, the real world and our world, in our digital world.
yeah,
So in digital world, we have our own kind of avatar, and we
yeah,
have our own character. And sometimes we can see some people, they have a very different characters in the real world and when they are on the net.
correct.
Okay, totally different character and how they comments and so on how they give opinions and so on. So that might be one of the contribution
Yeah,
uh,
pity
for that.
them, pity them because nobody teach them.
Okay.
So we need to teach our younger generation. We need to
Hmm.
teach our children how you supposed to behave in the cyber world.
Okay.
So this will be the base or the foundation of Malaysian netizen, Jabatan Netizen Malaysia. Yeah, the
Okay.
identity of us different with the Indonesian netizen. So we have our own identity. So this is where we need to create that.
Okay.
It's not yet being solidly established. Yeah, we still are fine tuning. Yeah. So nowadays, fake news is everywhere.
Hmm.
So it is important how to verify the information that we receive from the internet and
Hmm.
how to do it. The scientific method is the best way of doing it.
Okay.
So this is a skill set that every human or every Malaysian citizen should have.
Mm.
Yeah, I would like to go to that level to
Okay.
have a very harmonic living in Malaysia. No cyberbully in Malaysia. That's what we are trying to achieve. Yeah, and
Inshallah.
then to go further on the scientific method, of course we have the deductive reasoning, and then also we have inductive reasoning, and then
Hmm.
usually we focus on the deductive reasoning. For example, the DNA analysis. So once we
Hmm.
establish that it is the truth, and then it will be accepted in truth as a truth in further analysis. Yeah. So in the beginning, digital forensic also have went through that period of time where it's a bit skeptical. People are not familiar. The judge not familiar. The lawyer not familiar. So the expert, uh, like us in cybersecurity Malaysia, we have hard time to explain it in court because they don't have this understanding. But nowadays, as the time goes by, and then the older generation has retired, and then substitute or replaced by the younger generation, and then it's becoming more and more better for us. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a little bit about how can we use scientific method to research crime.
Hmm.
We can also how to use scientific method to live a healthy life, to live a successful life. Yeah, basically, scientific method is good for everybody. Science is good for humankind.
Okay. So we use it for any decision making. We should apply the
Yes,
scientific method, right?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
Especially on for the investigation officer when they
Hmm.
conduct the investigation. So they will not, rely on the information from whatever that they heard and then they believe. No, cannot. You cannot do that anymore. We are
Mm.
living in the modern world. You must take extra effort to verify that information. especially information, the intelligence information.
So each one of us will become digital investigators.
Yes, it is
Uh,
a compulsory skill.
mm,
If you heard that your son or your daughter is doing this
mm,
and that from other source, will you accept it
mm,
just because you heard from someone? So we just cannot simply accept that. We need to verify. So
okay.
this knowledge is a must. It's a
Mm-hmm,
must, not only to use it to prove something, but to use it to defend ourselves, to defend our family. Basically, yeah, for us to get the truth, because everybody deserves the truth.
okay.
So, in
Yeah, you're right.
conducting investigation, yeah, it is a must nowadays for the investigation officer to implement, to conduct investigation using scientific methodology. Yeah, which is basically, this is how we conduct investigation. So the investigation will start with this 6W and I mean the 5W and one husband lah. Okay, 6Ws consists all the Ws inside the words. Okay, some people, they add number 7. What then? Another W. But if we want to start an investigation, so this is where we can establish our starting point. Yeah, this 6W, what, to define the situation, the problem, who are the actors, who is the actors, why, and then where, when, how. So if we establish all this, so basically we can get the starting point, the platform to start our investigation. And
Mm-hmm,
then the next step is basically to narrow down the investigation through the data filtering. Yeah. So if you come up with many what, uh, so how can you deduce, or can you reduce the what into only one what?
mm,
If you get many who's, there's a lot of suspect. So how do you narrow down the suspect? So that requires some data filtering, yeah, based
mm,
on the investigation scope, based on the data that you you receive from other sources, so that you can exclude this thing. So in digital forensics, so usually we will start on the based on the timeline,
mm-hmm,
on that period of time. So basically, we don't have to look the whole hard disk. So we will base on this timestamp, this period
mm-hmm,
of time, and then we'll focus on that. And then what are the processes are running in that particular time.
mm-hmm,
And then we compare with our findings. So that's how we narrow down into a smaller and smaller filter. Yeah.
mm-hmm,
And then when we conduct the investigations, do not rush in coming out with the theory, coming out with the hypothesis. So you need to be conscious and think about what all the data that you've gathered, whether it's sufficient or not. And
mm-hmm,
then you need to, the investigator need to think logically and objectively. Yeah. uh, so that make sure that you are not influenced by your emotions, so that will becoming bias, that will becoming prejudice.
mm-hmm,
So you cannot judge, you need to be impartial, you need to be uh, professional.
is it working together as a team will help to reduce that what you call so-called bias, a personal bias?
uh, Working in team, yeah, yes, it would be help if uh, you have that kind of understanding
Mm-hmm.
in trying to be impartial, trying to be non-biased. But
Okay.
if you are coming from the same structure and then you will be
Mm-hmm.
biased, you,
Okay.
you can,
Okay.
for example, if it is a police case, so the case is investigated by the police forensic force. So sometimes the lawyer came up with the argument. This is a bias examination because it's coming from the same organization.
Ah. Okay.
Uh, so we need to send it to a third party. So that's
Oh.
why cybersecurity Malaysia existence is very important, so
Mm-hmm.
that we can provide that impartiality. We don't have
Oh.
to send it to the overseas or calling expert from the overseas to to become the impartial party. So that is that's why cybersecurity Malaysia is established to become the national technical agency, so that can assist government in making informed decision.
Mm-hmm.
Not cybersecurity Malaysia is the one making the decision, but we provide the data. So let the
Mm-hmm.
court decide, or let the government
Okay.
or the government decide.
Okay. It's clear.
So we need to ensure that the data is correct, uh, and that which means that if there is a need to formulate another hypothesis and then do that. That will be
Mm-hmm.
you will be more confirm, and then repeat the process if necessary with different data.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So uh, making the decision. Making informed when we understand about the scientific method, yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
will help us to make a informed decision, uh, so that the court also can decide what to be used in court, especially for the DPP and prosecutors. So they will know, okay, if they introduce this evidence, so it cannot be
Mm-hmm.
challenged. So it will beneficial to them. Uh, Not to waste the court's time. So the weightage of the evidence. Sometimes the weightage is good, it's heavy, but sometimes it's very light. Yeah.
Mm.
So uh, that's how it is important to make to so that the court will have the data so that it can make decision, the best decision. Yeah. But sometimes you know there will be the scientific evidence can only be challenged
Mm-hmm.
using other scientific approach, which means that in order for you to challenge that hypothesis, you need to come with another hypothesis with another data using scientific methods. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like people coming from two different set of thinking. Different. I don't know what's in English, but in Arabic word is mazhab. Mazhab. You know mazhab.
Okay.
It's your school of thought. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
you are coming from school of thought A. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
you will use that argument, that challenge, and then if you are
Okay.
coming from different, and then you'll be upholding different opinion. So
Okay.
in
So,
court, yeah,
um, okay, sorry to interrupt. So, because that's between, for example, we have two experts from the same domain, they may have different school of thought.
yeah,
But how about um, the people in the court itself? Because I assume that not all the people in the court itself are actually maybe they are not that digital or technology savvy. So presenting a digital evidence to those audience, I assume there's a big challenge for you based on your experience, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's difficult to get lost when you're giving testimony
Okay.
because the judge will ask you to speak slowly because they need
Ah,
to write it down.
okay.
So it's very difficult. So you need to go for training, yeah, expert testimony training, so that you can
Mm-hmm.
be very objective. So when you sketch the storyline in your head, and then say the how to explain it word by
Mm-hmm.
word in very slow. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, in a very slow manner. Because
Okay.
when you talk like this,
Mm-hmm.
the judge will say, "Oh, can you slow? Can you slow? Can you repeat back?"
I
So
see.
if you are
Okay.
not focused, you'll be easily distracted and lost in your words.
Oh,
You yeah. So
okay.
it is quite challenging. Yeah, it is
Mm,
quite challenging to keep
mm-hmm.
in contact with the ideas that you have in
Yeah.
your mind, and then try to explain it.
Okay. Clear.
So so as an expert, when we go to the court, we just you know throw out our finding, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's it. So they will try to challenge you and ask you questions. So you just answer it faithfully,
Mm-hmm.
logically, based on your what you are experienced. Yeah.
Okay.
So the same will goes to the other side experts. So they will come up with their own opinion. So
Mm-hmm.
the court will decide. So whatever the court decide, and then we have to accept it
I
because
see.
that's how the judicial system works. Yeah, it
Okay.
is their decision. They will make the ruling statement. I would say they
Mm-hmm.
will justify why they make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
If you now, if you are really keen to look into this forensic science,
Mm-hmm.
follow Adib, the murder of Adib case.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That case. Because in that case, the coroner or the expert who testified on behalf
Mm-hmm.
of Attorney General Chambers Malaysia is actually a doctor in
Mm-hmm.
working in KL hospital, and then his opponent, I would say, the other side expert is actually his teacher. Uh,
Oh,
I don't remember his name, but he's now working in the UK.
I see. Okay.
So with those reputations, and then it's been challenged. So now they're setting up a committee
Mm-hmm.
to look further into that case. You just follow that case. That case is very interesting.
Okay.
Previously, we have Teo Beng Hock case, whereby two experts are fighting with each other, and
Mm-hmm.
so it is kind of interesting. But the one that will make the decision is always the judge.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay.
need to accept that. And then a little bit on the case study, for
Mm-hmm.
example, on how do we conduct investigation. First, because I heard, doctor, you said that we have to draw a white apa ni, yellow tape if required.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes it is required, but most of the time it is not. Yeah, because usually when we the first thing we to do when we conduct on-site investigation, yeah, we need to assess the situation first. It all
Mm-hmm.
will start with the meetings. Yeah, understand the existing policies, procedure, and then understand who are making the authorization, understanding about the organization that we want to raid, we want to
Mm-hmm.
go and confiscate, because we want to avoid potential issues of improper handlings, to make sure that the warrant is there, the form is
Mm-hmm.
there, so that to minimize mistakes and then
Mm-hmm.
making is efficient. Yeah.
Mhm.
As for the digital forensics methodology, so this is what we practice in Malaysia. In our organization, we will started with the identification. How to when we are on site, we will identify the equipment or the hardware that it can be potential digital evidence. But in the first place, through the situation assessment, we can narrow down, not to confiscate the whole computer in the organization, but we narrow down to the potential suspect, and then we just confiscate their computer. Yeah, because
Okay.
sometimes it is a case involving CCTV camera, you cannot
Mhm.
simply confiscate the CCTV system.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Previously, the thinking was like that. Okay, we need to
Uh-huh.
confiscate the original, and then they take
Uh-huh.
out the CCTV. Left the organization without CCTV at all. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, that is actually not a good practice. Yeah.
Ah.
So once we identify, and then we collect the evidence, we preserve the evidence,
Mhm.
and then we transport it back to the lab. So this is where the chain of custody is very important, which means that
Mhm.
you receive the evidence from the owner, and then pass it to you, and then you transport it back to the lab, and then put it in the evidence room, and then conduct the analysis, and then follow with presentation. So
Mhm.
during all this time, you must take this is where the preservation aspect of it is implemented. Yeah, which means that you must try your best to maintain evidence
Mhm.
integrity and
Mhm.
its chain of custody at all time through all
Mm.
this process.
So we work on a call of exact copy of the evidence. So then
Yes,
we don't have to interrupt the operational of the organization possible. So the business can go on, and then we are working on the exact copy of it. Then we can proceed with our forensic process, right?
yes.
Okay.
That is actually sufficient. That's
Mm.
enough. But
Okay.
sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the prosecution team or the defense
Mm-hmm.
always request to confiscate the original. Yeah.
Mm.
So somehow they can establish their story much more better, which means
Mm-hmm.
that okay, we confiscate the handphones.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the handphone. In court, they will, okay, this is suspect handphone, and then
Mm-hmm.
from this handphone, we extract it out into the CD, and here is the CD. So
I
sometimes
see.
they like it like that.
I
So it
see.
depends on the deputy of public prosecutor,
Mm-hmm.
because they are the storyteller. They are
Mm-hmm.
the one to tell the court how the
Mm-hmm.
criminal act happened, and how did it happen. So they are the one who telling the story in court. All right. And next, digital forensics definition. Yeah. So what I want to talk in this definition is basically, you can see in the bolded in the bold font is basically scientifically, the element of scientific is there. Digital forensic is a scientifically derived and proven method, which means that using scientific method derived from digital sources. The origination is actually digital sources. So that's why they call it digital forensic. Digital
Mm-hmm.
is,
Mm-hmm.
is derived from accounting sources. It will be accounting forensics. Yeah, for the purpose of presentation in court of law. So the judicial or the legal aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Scientific element, legal element, and then what are the source, which is the digital element. So this is the how do you understand the term of digital forensics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So why it is important? Uh, because for identification. Yeah, so in order for you to identify something, it is best done through forensic using scientific method. Same goes to authentication. Yeah?
Okay.
Identification is basically you want to identify whether a file or an object or an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Authenticate is basically you want to verify whether there is element of tampering. Is there
Mm-hmm.
someone tampering with the evidence or not? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
fact establishment, because it is always best for you to, because whatever that come out from a scientific method, it will be accepted because it is fact. Yeah.
Okay.
So in order to establish fact, we need to use scientific method because it would
Mm-hmm.
be easier in court. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have a best evidence rule. Best evidence rule, which means that it is best to use forensic approach or scientific approach. Yeah. Or you can say that the merrier, and more evidence is better than only one evidence. If you are
Mm-hmm.
the evidence coming from the forensic analysis is much more better than evidence coming from a witness, a living witness,
I see.
yeah.
Okay.
And then a privilege,
Mm-hmm.
because because uh, in forensic, okay, because they have this privilege,
Mm-hmm.
which means that in order for you to challenge the forensic report or forensic
Mm-hmm.
finding, you need to bring another expert and then challenge it through forensic findings too. Where else, if you are introduced, normal witness,
Mm-hmm.
they can be challenged by anybody.
I see. So to
Uh,
make it difficult,
yeah,
to make it difficult to be challenged, right? Kind of.
yes, correct.
Okay.
So that is where the privilege part is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So forensic evidence can only be challenged with another forensic evidence. If someone just challenged like that, it will not be accepted. So in digital forensic, we have many challenges. Yeah, these are some of that I collected or put it in a very short points. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone understand it. The idea is forensic is up to the device level, but the court or the judge
Mm-hmm.
will always have interest in the person who pressing the keyboard, which is
Ah.
something beyond of this is beyond forensic limitation,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because digital forensic can determine that the computer has been used to send this
Mm-hmm.
data. But
Mm-hmm.
who is pressing, we don't know. Okay, so it needs to be supported by it requires supporting evidence, yeah, to support that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then requires owner's cooperation to gain access. If the owner say, "Oh, I forgot," and then nothing much you can do. Uh, you cannot
Mm.
simply just brute force him.
Oh, okay.
So cannot. But if you have tool to brute force the application, yes, can. But you cannot brute force the person,
I
right?
see.
And then voluminous evidence, we can see
Mm-hmm.
that it is the storage media capability is increasing every day. So it's
Mm-hmm.
common to see terabytes storage nowadays. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also becoming challenge to the forensic analyst. Entire
Okay.
forensics software, and then the methods are everywhere. You can simply Google it, and then you can have this information. And then
Mm-hmm.
scattered evidence. Now we are living in the cloud technology, cloud storage technology era.
Yeah.
So the evidence is scattered everywhere. You have duplication here and there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it is. That's why, yeah. If you upload something to the internet, it will remain forever. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not easy to delete it or bring it down. And then the technology has becoming more and more complex.
Mhm.
Sometimes we cannot pick up with the technology, so we have always to move fast and then adapt with the situation with the emerging technologies.
Mhm.
So that's quite challenging. Analyst competency also quite challenging, yeah, because if being in a uh, forensic field,
Mhm.
you need to establish your competency, which means that you need to always take certification
Mhm.
to establish your credibility in court. And then lastly, the
Yeah.
cross-border issue. Cross-border
Mhm.
issue. Most of the evidence will store cross-border, so it's difficult
Mhm.
to confiscate the or it is actually when we talk about cross border, and then it also related to cross judicial issue, which means that in Malaysia sedition
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
against the law, but in the US
Mhm.
sedition is not against the law. It
Mhm.
is freedom of speech.
Mhm.
So they will not assist you or comply to your request when it's related to Seditions Act, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So in conclusion, uh, the nature of the crime has not changed. Same. Their motive is to for the monetary, to steal, to do fraud, to harass, to create damage, to destroy. It's just that the crime method is changing. But as we learned before, every actions, every in the exchange principle, there will be traces, and then these traces can be discovered through digital forensics. And then this knowledge or technology, the scientific techniques, it will help our judicial system to
Mhm.
provide a better or an comprehensive justice system to a country, especially in Malaysia.
Mhm.
I think I already I think I reached the time. I try
Okay.
to keep it short and simple, but it's still difficult.
No worries, Mr. Zabi. We
All
still
right.
got extra
So
time.
I think so. I would like to invite to
Mhm.
those who are participating and watching these videos or this discussion. Yeah, for
Mhm.
you, it is very important to promote this knowledge, to
Mhm.
uh, to teach this knowledge to our younger generation, for to our next generation. So because it is simply good. Yeah, it is simply
Mhm.
good. Yeah, for our betterment. And as for, I mean, Dr. Ainuddin and your community in the
Mhm.
University of Malaysia, yeah,
Mhm.
if you are interested, yeah, in this journey to make digital forensics, to implement this knowledge, so that it be becoming more and more better in Malaysia,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
please come and join us, yeah,
Okay.
in Digital Forensic Research Society. You can go to our website www.dfrs.my. We have yearly event. So what we are trying to do here is basically because we will receive a problem from the law enforcement.
Mhm.
So this problem, we will pass it to the Digital Forensic Research Society, so that if you are interested in conducting research related to
Mhm.
digital forensics,
Mhm.
you have or you must conduct research on the real problem, not
Okay.
some problem that you try to you found it through gap analysis, but this is already been identified as the problem.
So
So
we can work on the real world evidence, real world case under
yes,
this
yes,
society, right?
yeah. and
Okay.
then we
That's good to know.
we we help the law enforcement by solving their problem. So come and join us. Dr. Ainuddin already members. You
Yeah.
can ask him more information, but also can ask me.
Okay.
So I will close my presentations and
Mm-hmm.
then I will send. I have my copies with Dr. Ainuddin. Those who
Yeah.
are interested can contact him to get
Mm-hmm.
the slides. And is there any questions from the public or from the floor?
Is there any question? Let me have a look. Okay. Mr. Zabri, can you share your most challenging case, if allowed, if there's any? If
Okay.
not, then confidential.
The first challenging case is,
Mm-hmm.
if you remember, it's related to Vikelingen tip.
Okay.
It
Okay.
looks like me, it sounds like me,
But not
but
me.
it's not. Uh, that statement is very sounded very foolish, yet
Mm-hmm.
very strong and very
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
uh, 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 well established in court. The court,
Mm.
if you say it's me, what is your proof?
Mm-hmm.
So the prosecution need to prove that evidence. So during that time, I think it's back
Mm-hmm.
in uh, 2006, 2007,
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mistaken, like on during that time. And
Mm-hmm.
then the initial request is basically to conduct facial recognition, which is in that case is not applicable because of the angle issues, because of the
Mm-hmm.
quality issues. But the audio is good. But the audio
Okay.
is good. It's just that during that time, the knowledge or the knowledge is not, it's not in Malaysia yet. So we
Okay.
have
I see.
to go to the Spain, to
Oh.
Madrid,
Okay.
basically to acquire that knowledge, because we keep on follow up with the MACC SPRM during that time is actually
Mm-hmm.
an anti-corruption agency, ACA,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but no further instruction until 1 week for the Royal Commission inquiry. So 1 week before
Oh.
they say, okay, we need this, do whatever you can, and then during that time we have to contact our friend, our counterpart in the Spain, and then go there and learn from them, and then come back,
Mm-hmm.
do the report, and then present it in court. I think that is the most challenging because during that time it's quite the resources is quite limited, very
I
limited
see.
at that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Uh, Maybe last question. Um, uh, can can we visit your lab to get more information and have hands-on experience, if allowed?
Unfortunately, you cannot.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Because
Mm,
I don't know, but they already decided.
mhm,
If it is coming from student, from
mhm,
universities,
mhm.
they will. You cannot go to the lab. So they will. You can
Okay.
come. You can
Mhm,
come
mhm,
and visit us. There will be
mhm,
briefing in our main hall, but they
mhm.
will. You cannot. You will not have the opportunity to go to the lab.
I see.
So the
Mm,
only way
mhm,
if you want to have experience is to
mhm.
apply for internship in cybersecurity Malaysia,
Ah,
or to work in
okay.
cybersecurity Malaysia, or maybe you join the DFRS
Okay.
because of my senior VP,
Mhm.
Dr. Aswami. He's the president of DFRS. So maybe you can through DFRS channel, we can get privilege, and then you can come and visit us. But if there is a request coming from the university, so usually it will not be entertained. I mean, if you cannot go to the lab because of usually if coming request coming from the university, it will involve large amount of participant, so it's
Big crowd.
difficult to yeah, it's big crowd, so it's
Mhm.
difficult to manage.
Mhm.
So the corporate communication team said that okay, we just decide no visit lab for them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Or the last resort, join CSM as digital forensic investigator, and then you'll be in the
yeah,
lab every day.
yeah. Yeah, we'll be opening our we have many vacancies.
Ah,
Yeah, and then
okay.
please submit your resume
Mhm.
before
Mhm.
February.
Mhm.
Those who are interested to join cybersecurity Malaysia lah. We
Okay.
currently have vacancy.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Okay, so it's 11 past 4. So um, the last one, the question that should be my last question for the session today.
Yeah,
So I think it marks the end of the session. So on behalf of UM, okay, thanks again to Mr. Zabri. Despite his very tight schedule, he is still willing to join us today. And
yeah. It is my pleasure actually. I always love doing
mm,
this CSR, I mean,
okay,
sharing the knowledge and
mhm,
experience. Please
mhm,
do invite me more in again in future,
okay,
giving me a
inshallah.
different topic. Yeah, I love to do it.
Inshallah. So I think that's all for our session today. See you again in the next Elite at UM session. So Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and bye bye. Thank you, Mr. Zabri.
Yeah, sama-sama Dr. Ainudin, and
Jumpa
thank
lagi.
you everyone.
Okay, bye bye.
All right.